Greetings, students, and welcome to the special edition of The Professor Travel, Domestic Edition. I am your host, The Professor Travel, coming to you from Orange County, California. This is the website, the vlog, and the podcast that you come to in order to learn more about different travel destinations. This is where you come in order to discuss them as a community. Hopefully, this will inspire you to travel more and ultimately enjoy life more. Now, you can reach me on a variety of different social media platforms, including my website, which is at theprofessortravel.com. On YouTube, Facebook, and now on TikTok, you can reach me at The Professor Travel. On Instagram, if you want to see me there, you can find me at the_professor_travel. On Twitter, you can find me there at theprofessortr1. And then if you're a blogger, you can find me there at theprofessortravel.blogspot.com. Today, I'm welcome to rekindle a friendship with mine of Brian Johnson. Brian, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing, Scott?
Great. Thank you so much. Brian's our visiting professor today. He lives in the great state of Delaware. And, and in order to give my students a little bit of background, can you talk to us a little bit about your educational background and maybe a couple places you traveled?
Sure. So just to start off, I've been in Delaware for about 5 years now. So I am becoming a veteran in the next 10 years, maybe. I'll provide the most information that I can. But in terms of education, I have a master's degree in leadership and also one in public administration, and currently a middle school business teacher. Places that I've traveled, mainly to the islands, Jamaica, Dominican Republic, Bahamas, all across the East Coast, a little bit of the West Coast, been to California a few times, so that was cool. Toronto was an amazing place, and some places in the South like Texas, Tennessee, and stuff like that.
Excellent. Well, and we just recently spoke with you about Pennsylvania, and today we're actually going to speak with you about Delaware, which is where you currently
Awesome.
reside. So
Yes.
let's talk a little bit about the history of Delaware. Now, just in my research alone, obviously there were a few Native American tribes that started off there, including I think it's the Lenni Lenape Indians, the Susquehanna Indians, and the Nanakoke Indians, Native Americans, I should say. And then the Dutch and the Swedish colonists came in. Then the British, I guess, took them out, and that's when the American Revolution started. And of course, it's very well known that Washington crossed the Delaware River in
Yes,
order
sir.
to, during the American Revolution, which is between, well, I guess it runs like on the side between Jersey, Delaware, and then also down towards PA as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they all pretty much share the Delaware River.
Okay. Excellent.
But
And then,
Delaware is also known as the place where it's, and we'll get to this, but I want to make sure we don't forget this part. It's known as being toxic in terms of the actual land because New Jersey, Pennsylvania, all of their toxins flow down the Delaware River right into Delaware. So it's
oh
known
no.
as a cancer state.
Oh, that's horrible. I'm sorry.
So I actually, in my water, I have a water purification system.
Okay.
So purify all the water in my house because of that.
Well, it's like it's not dangerous to.
No, it's not that. But if you live here for 30, 50 years, a very long time, and you're consuming that stuff, it's just known for that. So
Okay. Now I know there was a history, even throughout the Civil War, where it's there was a big problem with segregation, and then all the way up until the 1950s, and then at that point they had enabled, or a couple of lawsuits came about that completely dissolved that. But like we were talking about earlier, it seems like the state's divided into pretty much the northern part of the state and the southern part of the state. And this sounds like the northern part of the state is where most of the population is. That's much more, in tune with modern
right,
affairs, and the southern part of the state is very much not.
right, right. And to that point regarding the segregation, they saw that in schools, just like they did all across the nation, back then. But particularly where I live in the area where Christiana School District is,
Mhm.
and where the lines are drawn up from to divide the school districts. Christiana School District back then just had Wilmington.
Okay.
However, since that was considered the urban area, they were not getting as much funding, resources, and support. So once a lot of those laws that you're mentioning passed back then, what they did was they made Christiana School District so big so it can incorporate bits of each suburb that surrounded it.
Okay.
So now it's the largest school district in the state. And specifically, it was a response to try to include more suburban areas so they can actually get increased funding and be competitive with other districts.
Excellent. And you were even mentioning like just where your house is, it's landmark because of a battle that took place near there.
Yeah, so 2 miles from my house, it's a bridge called Cox Bridge.
Mhm.
And during the American Revolution, the British actually camped out on my development. So it's called LaGrange. It was a farm here. The farmer, I believe his name was, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe Samuel Henry.
Okay.
He was actually a doctor, African American, and he helped either created or helped create the vaccine for smallpox.
Nice.
Fact, two things that actually occurred on this property where I am. Because of that, it took them a long time to get the approvals to actually build this house. It took them 15 years to
Wow.
go through that process. So there was three developers because they was actually in court fighting the county over the rights to this property.
Excellent. Well, good to know. That's always interesting information. Now, in
Mhm.
terms of the geography, obviously the Delaware River, huge in your area. It's very lush. It's very green. There's a lot of really nice places. Obviously, the major city areas, Wilmington, Dover. Um, where else am I missing?
Rehoboth.
Rehoboth. Oh yeah, which that's where the beaches are
Mhm.
for the area. And then, of course, during the winter time, it gets a little bit crazy, no matter where you're at in the East Coast.
Right.
But obviously, I wanted to highlight that here just because, obviously, even with Washington crossing the Delaware back in the day, the winters were very harsh. Um, Anything else in turn? You guys don't have any like natural disasters or anything like that. Occasionally, like a blizzard, but that's about it.
No, the climate here is very similar to New Jersey, Pennsylvania. You get your 4 seasons, get at least 3 months of each.
Okay.
Severe points, and then the summer is just tolerable. So if you like all 4 seasons, it's a good place to be.
Excellent. Now, in terms of the culture in the area, it's predominantly Catholic. Would you say there's a lot of Catholicism in the area?
Right, most definitely.
Okay, and then in terms of art, music, there's there's not a lot of really big name artists that are known to have come from Delaware. I mean, there's
Right.
a few actors, obviously. Aubrey Plaza's big, Elizabeth Shue, Ryan Phillip, Valerie Bertinelli, though for upon her own accord, and then of course
Right.
Judge Reinhold. But there's not a like big name artist that I'm missing or musicians that come out of there. Correct?
Not that I can remember. But I will say this, I forgot to tell you. They have Firefly here. Have you heard
Firefly.
of that? Yeah, it's like a humongous musical festival for like 5 days.
No, I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, I think it's usually in Dover.
Oh,
So yeah, it's awesome. And it's all kinds of music. Just
okay.
think of it, they have it. It's a huge outdoor event. And it's amazing.
Sounds like a Lollapalooza tour or something like that.
Right. It's crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of the language, it's almost entirely. There we go. We have a
Sorry
guest
about
today.
that.
No problem. Now, it's predominantly English in the area. And then in
Mhm.
terms of diet and food, didn't really see a lot of things. I mean, Capriati's is a big sandwich shop that's out in that area, from what I'm aware.
Right. The Delaware originals swear by it. This is their version of the Philly cheesesteak.
You have a very strong opinion of that, I would assume.
I just left it there, right?
Uh, we'll just leave that lie. And then as you get
Yeah.
down towards like the boardwalk and stuff like that, you get things like Thrasher's Fries and Dolly's Saltwater Taffy. Those are things that go there too. In terms of
Right.
sports and recreation, you got NASCAR. You have a NASCAR
Right.
area that's in is it in Dover?
It's in Dover. It's huge. You can see it right off of Route One, the main highway. It's humongous.
Okay, but no specific sports teams that are of like Major League Baseball, Major League Football, Major League Hockey. It's
None of that.
mostly
Just a minor league team.
okay.
Other than that, Delaware really sticks with their colleges like University of Delaware, Delaware State, for the sports. And then they obviously ride with Philadelphia or Baltimore for
Excellent.
professional sports.
And then no like state holidays that you're aware of, right?
Not that I know of.
Okay. Population, as you can see from this map, looks really, really strong in the north. In fact, of the million or so people that are in Delaware, three quarter, 70%,
Right.
70% actually are up in the north. I mean, that
Hmm.
just it seems so incredibly lopsided, but then again, it's just, and as you get towards the south, it's a lot more livestock and stuff like that that are in that area.
Right. To the
Um,
left side, you have livestock, farms, stuff like that. To the right side, you have your beaches.
and what are the states that are surrounding it? Obviously, you have Philly and you have Jersey. Is Maryland there too? Is that what I'm seeing?
Yeah. So yeah. Let me explain this. So to your top right, on the other side of the river, that's New Jersey.
Yeah.
Okay. To the very north, that's Pennsylvania.
Okay.
To the left, this is the Maryland Eastern Shore. This is all Maryland.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then once you go over that body of water to the left,
Hmm.
that's still Maryland over there.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have like Salisbury, Maryland, all that stuff all the way to the south.
Okay.
Um, and then they have that big Bay Bridge,
Yeah.
over there as well. And one more thing I'll add too. You see, I wish I could point it out to you, but if you go down to the very bottom, you see the county line. So go to the bottom county line,
Right
and
here.
then to the right, to the northeast part where the tip of New Jersey is, there's a ferry that goes from New Jersey to Delaware, a
Hmm.
car ferry where you can put your car on there so you can go to Wildwood, Atlantic City, and all that stuff from there.
You know, I have never been to Atlantic City, and I lived in Jersey for 5 years.
Really?
I know, right? I'm terrible like that. And you're Southern Jersey,
Yeah.
you got
Yeah,
that built into you. So
that's right.
I gotta deal more with that a little bit more in my time. Okay,
One
so
day.
talking about employers in the state, the big ones that I came across were obviously the Dover Airport has a pretty good amount of people. Christina Care seems to be like your local healthcare system. Amazon has a couple of fulfillment centers out there, and then DuPont has a couple of places. But I mean, you do have a lot of insurance companies as well as banks also in the area too, correct?
Right, right. And I forgot to mention earlier too, they have the huge Dover Air Force Base.
Oh yeah, totally forgot
Yeah,
about that too. So I mean, there is a sizable contingent of places. I mean, obviously, if you got a million, like 700,000 people up in the north, there's got to be a huge amount of
right,
opportunity for employment in that area. So,
right.
do you think it's primarily spillover from PA though?
From Pennsylvania, New
Yeah.
Jersey, New York, and Maryland.
Okay.
A lot of folks are from those areas.
Okay, that
A
makes
lot
more
of
sense.
transplants here.
Speaking of travel, how is the transport system? How are the highways and byways there?
Must have a car, in my personal opinion. Car, Uber. They do have trains, but it's more of like the regional.
Okay.
So if you want to get to Philadelphia, Baltimore, New York, just like our good old Joe Biden
Yep.
used to go to Washington every day and come back and make sure he can cook dinner. That's
Yeah.
from
And then,
so
so I mean, you have Amtrak obviously in the area too.
right, right. So yeah, you have Amtrak. In terms of buses, they definitely Del Dot provides bus services. It just may be a pretty sizable walk to get to the bus station though.
Okay. And then as far as travel and tourism, I think you had mentioned earlier that a lot of people are going for the beaches, like in the Rehoboth area. Is that correct?
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
All right. Now, in terms of the government, now this kind of surprised me when we were talking about it because you said there is definitely a northern part to the state, there is definitely a southern part to the state, and the majority of the population is north, which is why it's a blue state. But in the
Right.
southern part of the state, it is definitely
They're
conservative. Yeah, they are red, red
100%.
conservative. Uh,
Right,
does
right.
does the state's local politics reflect that as well? Would you say, or state and local?
Well, yeah, yeah, it does because of the population itself.
Okay.
But there's so much, like you can find yourself in a pretty tough political conversation here,
Mm.
just because people are extreme either way.
Oh, well, I was used to that with Jersey anyway, so.
Right, right,
So those things never surprised me. And when I was doing my
right.
research on resources, it seems like there's a good resource for clay. There's a good resource for blue agate there. And there's great livestock in the area. It seems like most of the southern part of the state is livestock, from what I can see.
Right. I want to say Purdue is also has a branch in Southern Delaware.
Oh, for chickens and cows
Yeah.
and pork. Yeah, that makes sense then. And then in terms of education, like the two major ones that I know of as far as universities, University of Delaware, Delaware State University. You'd also mentioned to me, what was it? Wellesley. Wellesley's there as
Yeah,
well.
Wesley College, which is in Dover.
Yeah.
And then Delaware has one community college.
That's not a lot for the community. But in terms of literacy rate, based upon your experience in education, that the literacy
Right.
rate tends to be, I'd say, relatively strong, or
Well, in my at my district, so the district I work at, Appoquinimink School District, which is also comes from the American name. We have the strongest school district in the state. Uh,
okay.
Test scores, opportunities, everything. But then also there's a lot of new developments. So a lot of people move down here, um, more like middle class to higher middle class. We just don't have as much challenges when it comes to the literacy rate. However, in Wilmington, areas like that, you will experience those challenges, including, to be honest, like only a mile from where I live, you have those challenges. It's not because of just the area itself. It's just the opportunities, the way the schools are structured. A lot of those schools, they have such a high population than what we're dealing with, and I just feel they don't necessarily have the support, that the kids need. But they try. One thing that I really like about Delaware is, for one, obvious. I'm a middle school business teacher. That's a requirement in Delaware that middle schoolers take business for 3 years.
Hmm.
But they also have a huge group of schools that also offer like language immersion programs and things like that, which I think is super cool.
Nice. Okay, cool. Well, that gives us a lot of opportunity to look at education. And then in terms of safety and security, it seems like one of the safest places I'm aware of. I'm not familiar with any type of foreign or domestic terrorism threats. Obviously, there's the threat of, racist related crimes. And then you were saying
Right.
that Wilmington is actually getting a little bit more dangerous as well, correct?
Yeah, unfortunately, they have challenges, within their streets in terms of gun violence and stuff like that. But outside of that, I would say, I mean, you have your small time crime like burglaries and stuff like that. So,
Okay.
but they're not busting your door. They only check to see if it's unlocked. I give them some credit on that. At least they're not breaking my window.
So at least it's a relatively safer environment, which is good.
Right.
So quick 1 minute elevator speech. Why do I want to come and visit Delaware? What sell me on it? What do I want to come there and see?
I would say if you were thinking about coming to Delaware, definitely come and shop. You have the Christiana Mall, you have some outlets, and then it's also known as the state of no sales tax. So it's a
Hmm.
great opportunity to get some really good products at a very, very low cost. Um, Other than that, the beaches are really nice and they're super clean
Hmm.
compared to New Jersey beaches. Even though I love New Jersey, but they're not the cleanest. So I would say between the shopping and the beaches, it's really a nice place to visit.
And you say it's relatively easy to get to the other states around there?
Relatively, unless if you're in Southern Delaware,
Yeah.
um, that's a bit of a hike. A lot of people see Delaware as a small state, but it still is about 3 hours to get from top to bottom.
Okay. And I would say most people probably fly into Dover anyways because of the size of the population in that general area.
Right. But if you fly into Dover, and if you're a plane fanatic like me, they have a museum of all of old military planes, including Air Force Two.
Hmm.
They actually have Air Force Two there from the 80s, I believe. No, from the 80s, and it's a beautiful, beautiful museum, and it's free.
Excellent. Well, thank you again for sharing that with us. Now, before we get going, though, I know that you are currently doing something in the way of charitable work in reference to homeless shelters. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, we actually just released the commercial today. So super.
Nice.
So as I said, I'm a middle school business teacher, and I have two eighth grade classes. And during the marking period, my eighth grade classes start a business, and it's usually a for-profit business. This marking period, because of COVID, we decided to do a not-for-profit business. So my two eighth grade businesses are raising money to support homeless children. They found out that there were kids within our district and districts all around that were homeless, living in motels and homeless shelters and things like that. And they decided to raise money for them. So If you are interested, you may shoot me an email, brian.johnson@apple.k12.de.us. Or if you're interested in donating, you can go to emms-business.square.site. We have a commercial and also a donate page on there.
Well, I really appreciate you sharing that with my listeners. Thank you so very much, Brian. It's always a pleasure speaking with you.
No problem. I
And then,
appreciate you having me.
oh, my pleasure. And again, for my students that are out there who would like more information on this or just have general questions, you can also shoot those over to me at scott@theprofessortravel.com and I'll redirect them over to Brian. So again, Brian, thank you so much for your time on that.
No
Now,
problem.
for my people that are on YouTube right now, if you haven't already done so, please click the bell icon right above your head there. It lets you know when new videos are coming out. If you also haven't subscribed, please do so. Again, it doesn't cost anything, helps the channel out. You're really helping us as a community. So thank you so much on that. If you like this content and you want to continue to see stuff like this, give us a like. And then finally, if you're listening on the podcast, please feel free to rate us. It really does mean the world. Until next time, my name is Scott. I'm the Professor Travel. Make every day a travel adventure. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye now.